Hi, I'm Mary Kay. Welcome to Cooking with Blondie. I'm the author of What's for Dinner. It's a cookbook you can get online if you visit whatsfordinnerblog.com. Today I'm going to demonstrate how to make buttermilk waffles. This is found in week 12 of my book. You start off with your flour, 1 3/4 cups flour, and you add to that your baking soda and your baking powder and salt. Now, for this recipe you need to separate your eggs. Here are the egg yolks, and here are the egg whites that I have already beat up. So the egg yolks go in your mixture here. Your egg whites you need to beat very stiff. They don't go in quite yet, but you can see they are extremely stiff, and that's what you want. Lots of air in them for this recipe. Now, the recipe calls for 1/2 cup of oil. I watch my calories a little bit, so I am using 1/4 cup of oil and 1/4 cup of applesauce. You can substitute applesauce for oil, ounce for ounce, and your recipe will turn out just fine. They will be a little bit heavier waffles, but that's all right with me. I'd rather have a little bit heavier taste than to have the extra fat. So I'm going to put in my 1/4 cup oil and 1/4 cup applesauce. And I'm going to scrape out my yolks. They give it a lot of flavor, so I think I want to use all of them. All right. Now the next thing the recipe calls for is 2 cups of buttermilk. Buttermilk is great. If you happen to want to make this recipe some other time and you're caught without buttermilk, you can make it by just putting 2 tablespoons of vinegar in your measuring cup and then filling it with milk. That's what I've done today because I didn't have quite enough buttermilk in the fridge. I've been experimenting with some things and used it up. So I put in 2 tablespoons of vinegar, filled the milk to the 2-cup line, let it sit for 5 minutes. The vinegar will sour the milk and it'll be just great for your waffles. So that's what I've used today. So we're going to put this in here. And you want to use your whip and get this pretty much stirred in so it's a pretty smooth batter. So we'll do that. It doesn't take long to get it stirred up. It's a very quick recipe and it makes a very good dinner. Almost have it done here. Alright, now that we have this mixed up pretty well, you can see most of the lumps are out. Some of the lumps will get mixed in a little bit better when you fold in your egg whites. Now the reason that you whip egg whites for this recipe is because it will add air, so it'll make your waffles so that they will be lighter and fluffier when you go to cook them. So if you're going to do like this, like I'm doing with this batter, if you do your egg whites, whip them up like this, you'll whip all the air out of them. And we don't want that. We want the air to stay in them. And so place your very stiff egg whites in your bowl, and I will demonstrate how to fold them in so that it does not reduce the fluffiness. You just take it and you just lay your batter in half. Cut it and lay it over. Cut it, lay it over. That's how you fold in egg whites into a recipe, so that they are not beat too much, the fluffiness stays there, and everybody will compliment you on your waffles if you have folded in your egg whites correctly and all the air is not mixed out of them. There will be lumps like this in your batter, and that's okay because those are lumps of air. And they are going to make your waffle taste really good. All right, now, I also use a Belgian waffle iron because I like a nice fat waffle. So that is what I have here next to me heated up. I've already preheated this. When you make waffles, you'll need to experiment with your own waffle iron how it works. With mine, I need to spray it with non-stick spray just on the first waffle. After that, they come out just fine. So I'm going to lift it up. It's already hot. I'm going to spray it just lightly. And then my waffle iron gets 3/4 cup of batter. That works out really well to make a nice waffle. Sometimes my edges won't be completely filled in, but that's all right with me. Let me get as much batter out as I can. It kind of sticks in there because it's kind of a thick batter with the egg whites. Okay, and then we're just going to close it up. And it'll take 3 to 4 minutes to cook this waffle. It'll start to steam as it cooks, and you can tell when it's time to raise the lid. There's two ways to tell. One, when the steam dissipates or there's not quite as much of it. Two, when you go to lift up the lid here and it comes up easily. If you're kind of having to pull hard, your waffle's not done, so don't continue to pull because you'll separate it in the middle. So we'll come back in a few minutes and show you when this waffle is done what it looks like. Okay, we're back. I think it's ready, and yes it is. You lift it up and it's just as pretty as it can be. Whoops, take out your waffle, and you want to set it on a cooling rack because it'll be very warm. If you set it right on the plate, it'll start to sweat and it'll make the bottom of your waffle soggy. So you set it on your cooling rack for maybe 30-45 seconds, and then you can go ahead and transfer it to your plate, which we will do right now. And we are going to top this with fresh fruit. At the time that I'm making this video, strawberries are in season and we are enjoying them. And so let's pile some strawberries on here. Add our whipped cream in the middle. And you have wonderful waffles and fruit for dinner. This is in week 12 of my book, and that's what's for dinner.